Time for In the Know with high-profile real estate executive Tom Diller. This show covers everything about today's market, from real estate, lending, investing news, market news, and more. The greatest thing is, hear from real estate market insiders and the market's movers and shakers. Be in the know with Tom Diller. Without further ado, here is the host of our show, Mr. Tom Diller.
Welcome, everybody. This is In the Know with Tom Diller, and I tell you, I just love that intro, Joe. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful thing.
I love it, too.
I don't know if it was you and your son or Marie that did that, but even the music is kind of cool.
You couldn't tell that was my voice?
Was that your voice? Your radio voice?
It was, yeah. I had to throw the alternative radio. It kind of gives you like...
It gives me the chills.
It gives me the little goosebumps myself.
I listen to it over and over again every single night.
Now that
sounded kind of
4
wrong,
nights a week would be maximum.
There you go. Exactly. But welcome, everybody. This is KQCK Live. Joe's got me cracking up here. KQCK Live out in beautiful Santan Valley. Coming out at you to Pinal County, Maricopa County, Arizona, and the world, and probably the universe, because this is internet radio.
I do want to say one thing before we start. I just got my machine in, so I can do my facial treatments in the evening to start getting rid of these little crow's feet that had just recently started. And it's, you know.
I tell you, Botox, just go for that. Yeah,
Did you bring any with you?
Is that your story?
That's my. I'm looking good, aren't I, for my age? And I'm not going to say what my age is, but I don't have.
You're 25, right?
I am 25 and a half. Yeah. So there you go. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. We have a bunch of wonderful guests here, and I'm going to call out the phone number before we get started because we kind of forget sometimes. It's 480-745-1033. Please call in if you have any questions. And our guests. Last week we actually had Ed Kuntz, a realtor, on, and he brought his partner here, and she was heckling Ed in the background. So we thought we'd bring her on. So you may recognize her giggling and her laughing because she was doing that in the background every time Ed tried to answer a question or say something. So, Gloria, how are you doing?
I'm doing just great, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. We have Gloria Hamley from Home Light Realty and Management. She's going to be talking about working with today's buyers, and why should you care if you're a buyer? Because you know what, you need to have a realtor that knows how to deal with buyers, because it's completely different than getting a listing. Two different worlds, right?
Absolutely.
I know realtors specialize.
Different mindset.
Exactly. And over here to my far left, you may recognize this gentleman from a couple weeks ago, Kevin Harden from Arbaletum Breckner, one of the large law firms here in the Valley that deals with real estate, bankruptcy, tax issues, so on and so forth. And Kevin runs the Mortgage Mediation Practice Group. Okay, I know you do a lot of business. I mean, I'm proud to have you over here on the show because you do a tremendous amount of business, and that's your fans right now clapping. You have fans.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
They're sitting over there on the couch over there.
Gloria doesn't have fans.
Can we
She's
introduce her
heckling
one more
a couple
time?
weeks ago. Everybody, Gloria Hamley.
Yay.
Sympathy fans. We have sympathy
geez.
fans for her.
That's terrible, Tom.
Wow.
Yeah. But we encourage you to call in if you have any questions. And these are two very high-powered guests that we have here that do a tremendous amount of business. Whether the economy was good or bad, both of these guys have been in business for quite a long time, which means they have a great track record here in Arizona. Gloria, why don't we start with you? Working with buyers. When we kind of talked about having you on the show, you said, what do I talk about? I said, well, you've been doing this for like 100 years. I should have said that to a girl.
Boy, are you making points.
You better. Ed called me up and told me to razz you a little bit. So decades and decades.
That was me you kicked, by the way.
So you've been doing this for quite a long time. Actually, for how long?
I've had my real estate license 12 years.
Wow.
All here in the East Valley. Prior to that, I was in lending for 15. I found that I just couldn't get out of the housing industry, whether it be mortgages or selling real estate.
Right.
Kind of toyed with going into title at some point, but
really,
I ended up with my real estate license.
Yeah, title can be up and down, as you know.
Yes, I do know that.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But
okay.
So again, thank you for joining us. Again, working with buyers. In this show, we kind of pride ourselves giving information to people out there that are listening, stuff that can help them in their everyday lives, whether they're ready to buy today, whether they're investors, whether they're lenders, bankers, or other realtors. We bring folks on that are kind of the subject matter experts. So tell us what you mean about working with buyers, and why is that difficult, or maybe it's not difficult. Why do you need to have a process? You have tons of notes here, so why don't we just kind of jump into that?
Okay, well, since you gave me so much warning this morning, I thought I better sit down and take some notes and some of the things I wanted to talk about. But for right now, it has been the last at least 6 months, certainly the last year. Our market has been mostly overrun with investors. It's been very difficult for my buyers and almost all the other real estate agents that work with buyers. It's been hard to get them homes and to...
That's because the investors have cash and they tend to outbid right away.
That's right. And I get tons of questions. People will look at me and say, this is a great value on this house. Listing agents don't always price them where the market is. Sometimes they'll put them a little bit below market, and we end up having to actually offer more for a home. Or maybe it's priced appropriately, but we've got so much competition out there that we might have to make a higher offer than the actual list price. A appraiser once told me a long time ago that the market is nothing really has any value when you're looking at a house. It only has a value when you have a buyer willing to pay that particular price.
Right.
So, it's kind of hard to get my buyers in that kind of mindset that you want to go out and get a house. Let's step up to the plate and let's really do this. 6 months or so ago, we hit bottom, I believe, maybe month here or there, but 6 months ago was the absolute bottom. And prices, says everyone knows, and if you listen to the radio and television, have been going up at a pretty steady clip.
20 to 30% in some
Yes.
areas. I mean, certain pockets. I mean, the way Arizona works, there's a lot of micro economies per se. Certain subdivisions could be going up, while other subdivisions are still kind of flat.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing you got to be worried about, or cognizant about, not worried about, to make sure you get a realtor that's kind of in your area. So I know when you said you're a realtor, you said East Valley Realtor. To me, that's cool. I smile because you're focusing on one area. So you're expert at Gilbert, Chandler, Mesa.
That's correct. And I mean, I've gone to Avondale and I've gone out to Goodyear and even Buckeye, actually. But I feel a little like a fish out of water. I live in the East Valley. I have my office here, and I know about every street and every subdivision there is to know.
You work out in East Valley. I mean, look at those guns. Come on now. I just had to mention that.
Thank you.
Interestingly enough, I remember a real estate guest that we had on about a year and a half ago. And I thought it was pretty slick the way he had his cards. He had like 15 or 20 different sets of cards depending on what area he went into.
You're East Valley specialist. You're North Valley specialist.
No, this guy actually honed into subdivisions. Like,
wow.
Oh, yes, I am the specialist for Cortina. And I'm looking at him going, here you go. Oh, yeah, I'm the specialist for Johnson Ranch. Look.
Isn't that convenient?
That is clever. That's clever, though,
Yes,
isn't it?
I suppose.
And our first caller of the day, and no, I didn't get the contact info because I'm pretty sure
Shame
Tom.
on you.
Pretty sure Tom has it. It was Sandy, Sarah, and Trish from Scottsdale, and they said, "We are watching you, Tom. Wink, wink. Love you."
Oh, Tom.
Well, thank you, Sandy, Sarah, and Trish. I love you guys too. Thank you for listening.
I can't wait to hear the story.
But
not during the show.
Send photos. Accidentally deleted mine, but no. Thank you for listening. We appreciate all our listeners out there, and certainly I got to go through my fan mail letter on tonight. So, but anyways, let's get back to the buyers in the certain areas. And you talked about the market hitting bottom 6 or 7 months ago. Do you agree with that, Kevin, or is it long ago, or we still haven't hit bottom? I mean, it depends who you listen to.
Depends
there
on
could
the market.
Be some more troughs.
You stated the most accurate statement that we have micro markets. If you want to go into the higher end market, they didn't see an appreciation. Matter of fact, some of those markets saw the market come down a little bit because we're starting to see a volume of strategic defaulters come out of that market now. And those strategic defaulters are deciding, you know what, I can afford my payment. I owe $1 million, $1.5 million on a house that may short at $800,000, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get out. And that has had some downward pressure on some of those homes because the availability of financing is light. So, for an example, that area has seen a downturn.
Right.
Some of those folks it's been flat to maybe 5% down, which is juxtaposed to some of the areas you've talked about, when we get out to these kind of rural areas and others where we've seen 30% increases, in the end, overall, we know what we have. We have an overall increase in the greater Phoenix area in home values, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're the fastest to go down, and I think we're the fastest to go back up. Because weren't we top 3 on declining markets? Now we're probably top 3, if not number 1 in appreciating markets.
No, we hit top 1. We did.
We did
They
hit
released
top
that
1.
this last week. We were the number
No
1
kidding.
recovery market.
That is outstanding.
What-
Back to your buyers.
Okay, I was just going to say, what goes up must come down.
They're
What goes down must come up.
Both ways. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it is looking a lot more encouraging. I think. I think some of the investors are kind of seeing that they're not getting the return on investment that they want. You can buy a $50,000 house a year ago, and now
Those are gone, right? Those
They're
are pretty much gone.
Pretty much, yeah. And every once in a while, you can pick one up, maybe at the trustee sales or whatnot. But if you look at them through the MLS, there's not much. And I will preface this with my favorite buyer, if someone was to ask me, is the first-time home buyer, and anybody that all my client base that will refer me business. Those are my favorite people.
Now, why is that? Because you have more to educate them, or they don't have any kind of stigmatism on what a realtor should do or shouldn't do? Is that?
I think so, and I just like the energy of a first-time home buyer, or maybe a move-up, or one of my previous clients that is selling their home and moving up to a little bit larger one. I like the energy of buyers better. It's more warm and huggy, and it's just
Right.
It's different than sitting across the table from a seller. And I've sat across from many of them, and it's what's the numbers, what's this, what's that, and that's fine. I understand that, but I do like first time home buyers. They're just getting ready to start their lives, and maybe families just got married. I have kids probably older than they are, and I just enjoy that energy.
Right. Right.
So I wanted to start with talking a little bit to that group of people. Everybody also knows that the new builds are coming back. I've heard
See a lot of Fulton commercials, a lot of great commercials. Other builders. There's just down the street from here. There's actually a builder from Texas that moved in that's building houses right down the road from here.
Yes, absolutely. And economic indicators in the real estate industry, is that when the builders start coming back, so will everything else.
Right.
So that's encouraging. But I will tell everyone out there listening that if you do wander around and see a for sale by owner or a new build sign and are tempted to walk in, just remember that new build realtor does not represent you. You do need your own realtor to help you.
Does that change the price of the house? I mean,
Not
some people
a
may
bit.
have a idea that if you do that, you're actually adding more commissions to the property itself. And
No.
Is that illegal? Can they do that?
No.
Like, here comes a guy with a realtor. We're going to jack up the price.
No, that absolutely is not true. They hand out the same cost sheet to everybody that walks in the door, whether they have a realtor or not.
It makes total sense to have a realtor in those things. Then
Well, yes, it does, because I have actually gotten involved with many builders and in their face over several things.
in their face.
In their face. That's
I
right.
believe it. Let's see those guns again.
No, yeah, I beat him up a little bit, but yeah, I mean, you do need someone there to represent your interests and not the builders.
Right.
So, and with the for sale by owners, I wanted to stress that buying real estate is a very technical job. It is something that needs to have attention to detail.
A lot of things hidden there, right, that you got to be aware of.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so, can you sell your house yourself as a for sale by owner? Probably. Will it be a nightmare for the buyer and the seller? Probably.
We just had a caller, and Joe's kind of
We
waving his
did,
hand
and I'm
over her.
starting to wonder if maybe we got to change the whole gist of this show into like Tom's personal hour
Oh,
because
for crying
this.
out loud.
No, this. Listen to this.
Gee, oh, man.
She said specifically, "G Mama wants to take Tom for Mexican food tonight. Would you please relay that during the show?" So Tom, what can I say, man? You know what?
I love.
I'm going to hire someone just to sit here and take your personal calls, and we'll go ahead and.
Get that organizer back.
You know
in
what?
there.
I love it though because Tom is like known in this neck of the woods anyway. What do we call this? Southeastern Arizona, as what are you known as, Tom?
It depends. Who you're talking to.
I'm not going
But,
there.
I'm almost afraid to say.
But
No
all I have
way.
to say is I love Mexicans. So text me.
You know what I have to say on all the ladies' behalf? Tom's a great-looking guy.
Oh, he is very very handsome.
Don't take it wrong, though, Tom.
Never noticed.
I don't.
Was
I
that
actually never noticed.
Was that your knee, Tom?
It was my knee.
Oh, sorry.
But again, thank you for calling in and
She really
offering
does
me
want it.
food.
She wants an answer, though, for reals.
For real, sure. I'm hungry. Let's
All right.
go. I can eat Mexican.
Okay.
All right, we're going to change that subject to
You
real
hit the
estate.
mute button, didn't you?
I think I did, yeah.
Thank you.
Do we need a commercial?
No,
While
not
you
at
guys
all.
get this taken care of, I swear to
Oh
goodness.
my god! Joe is such the instigator. I walk in the door and he feeds me all the sugar stuff, and I don't eat sugar. I'm trying to be healthy. I work out at the same place as Gloria does and her partner Ed, and I'm trying to get healthier. I'm not eating the licorice as much, but I have one. It just whacks me out kind of, and it's kind of a good feeling. But I got to stop doing that when I come in here, Joe.
I'll quit soaking them in the special sauce before I put them back in there.
Exactly. So back to the FSBOs for sale by owner. So let's clear that up a little bit. So for sale by owner, it's legal. You can do that. You don't need to have a realtor to do that in Arizona. There's a lot of pros and cons. Sometimes it's good to do that. Other times, well, it may not be good ever to do it. But there's times in the marketplace where you see a lot of those. Right now, it seems like homes are selling quicker. So do they really need the realtor? And I say that with tongue in cheek because I love realtors and I work with realtors every day. But why would they need that when the homes sell in 24 hours? I mean, literally.
Well, I suppose that's a valid question, but certainly you're not going to have multiple offers if you're out sitting there with a for sale by owner.
Well, that's the thing. They're not on MLS.
That's right. They're not on the MLS. You have to, kind of willy-nilly, whoever's driving by, if they call, the number. Not only that, but there's safety reasons. I mean, do you really want to open your door to a stranger and have them come into your home? Do you want to make more money? I mean, sure.
It's funny because when you talk about coming to your home, people, when they sell things on Craigslist, they talk about the same thing. Do you tell them to come to your home to look at your vacuum cleaner or your whatever you're trying to sell, or do you meet them in the parking lot? So big hassle. So I understand that. Yeah, I get that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things involved in putting your home on the market. Mm-hmm. And, sure, you've got to pay the realtor commissions and such. But, in reality, we could probably save you way more than that.
Exactly. And lawsuits and other issues and somebody coming in and stealing all your jewelry. I think we have a caller that wants to get on air, which is awesome. Caller, are you there?
Oh, dear.
Hey, callers here. This is Mike Garland with Toma Partners. How you doing?
Mr. Garland, how are you, sir?
Excellent. I just heard you were on the radio, and I wanted to call and check in with you. You guys have done a great job for us, putting in some, just amazing programs for realtors that are innovative, and I'm just I don't know what to say. I'm a little upset that your company's changing ownership, but I'm sure I'll be fine. And I'm really proud of you. That's all I got to say.
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. And Toma Partners is one of those luxury firms over by the Biltmore that deals with high end, and we've worked with them as partners for quite a while now, and it's been a good partnership. So thank you so much. And I was going to announce what happened with Guaranteed Title in a minute, so that this is a good lead-in. My company, you guys know that I always try to announce my company 4 or 5 times during the show. I say that if I don't, they don't pay for my gas to get out here. But after 33 years, our company decided to sell on Friday. So we sold to a wonderful big company. In fact, it's like the second largest in the world, First American Title Company. So as of Monday, all our employees are working with FATCO is their acronym, First American Title. So I went from a small company to a large company. A lot of pros in that. They have a big reach, big footprint. So we are proud and pleased. And
I would love to say that I will never forget Toma when they came in, the Toma Partners, because they gave me a cup. And, people come in here, and authors usually will give me a book.
They usually come in here and take your beer.
Look, right there. See that cup? I display it proudly.
Yes.
I display their information.
Yes.
And you guys were fantastic. And Diller and you guys make a great team. My God.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, we got a new version of that cup now with the little microchip in it. I'll send one down to you.
This way you can tell everywhere I'm going, right?
Well, you know what? We're going to have you guys back in here because you guys had a lot of good things to say. You talked about a lot of the high-end properties in DC Ranch, Greyhawk, and Troon and all that, and I think there's a need to bring you back. So we'll talk later, and we'll bring you back, okay? How's that?
All right, great. Have a good night.
Hey,
Great.
thanks so
Thank
much
you,
for calling.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was kind of nice of them. So
Welcome back to the Tom Diller show.
That's great. That's great. They were great people.
They were good people. So yeah, thank you so
sweet.
much. So it's kind of cool. I was in a venue 2 Saturdays ago to see Jordy play. Not at the open house. She played at our open house at Arizona Academy Real Estate.
She's
but the
good. She's really good.
The next night she played at this little consignment shop in Scottsdale, and I went over there and check her out. And some guy came up to me and said, "I know you. Are you that sportscaster guy?" I said, "No." And he smiled. He says, "You're on the radio. You had Jordy on there a couple months ago." I said, "Are you kidding me?
Wow.
You recognize me from Joe? I'm telling. I'm serious.
That's awesome.
He
That's
goes,
impressive.
And then he stood there and he goes, "Tom Diller." I said, "Yes." And I hugged him. I thought, how cool is that? This guy's cool.
I would have probably kissed him.
Yeah,
No,
you know
just
what?
kidding.
If it was a little darker and the mood lighting was better, or if he was a midget wrestler, I would have done that.
Oh, for sure.
Because I've got to think about midget wrestlers.
I know that.
We talked about
Or
that.
maybe
yeah.
a couple more drinks would have done it too.
There you go.
I don't know.
Ginger ale, though.
Ginger ale.
Ginger ale.
So, let me take one step backwards. How do you find your buyers? In today's market, how do you find? I know you find listings. Somebody wants to list their house, boom, they call a realtor up. How do you find buyers? Where do you go to get that? Do you knock on doors in apartment complexes, or how do they find you?
Yeah, actually, that is one way that you can do it. That's like throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall and seeing what's going to stick. I think probably one of the most important ways is my own personal database. Those people know me, they love me, they trust me, and usually every time I send out a letter or a postcard or something, I'm getting a couple calls. Hey, how you doing?
So you're marketing. You're out there always marketing. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. And quite honestly, I've seen a lot of buyers decide to just take a step back. For a little while. We've got a big year coming up. The election's 45 days away. And then we're going to be dead into the holidays, which is, typically a slow down time. The only buyers I really have during that time are ones that are really, really serious about buying a house.
Before the end of the year to get the tax breaks or whatever.
Right. So, I think 2013 is going to see a different market here, especially for my buyers that they're not high end. They're normal, 200 plus or minus buyers that maybe want a pool.
What's the median price now in Arizona, by the way? Do you know?
Oh my gosh, 147, 147, I think. I don't know.
No, you're accurate.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was 147. Yeah. So that's a far cry from what it was,
Right.
say a year or a year and a half ago. Excuse me.
Yeah, when it was barely over 115.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right. When it went down to 98.9 or something like that.
I heard on the radio today where our prices are back to 2003. Isn't that impressive?
Very impressive.
What were they like back to 1942 a while back?
Pretty much.
$17,400.
Wow.
Not to Kevin's over there texting right now. He probably has something. It's probably one of his kids stubbed his toe or something. I don't know.
What can I say? It's one of our many realtors who goes, "Hey, I was just listening to the show, and what do you mean GTA?" Because you and I are in our relationship, and like,
Right.
calm. Let there be
That's right.
calm.
We're all there. We're working on the files, and nothing has really changed per se. But the placard on the door, and again, we're proud to be a part of First American Title Company. So no worries there. No worries at this point. So Kevin, when she talks about the buyers, a lot of these came from them losing their homes. We talked about this earlier, and I forgot to clear this with you, so I'm going to say it on air. We talked about maybe possibly raffling off or giving off a couple of consultations. Are you
Correct.
still willing to do that now that I said that on
Absolutely.
air?
No, absolutely. One of the things I try to extend to folks like you, okay, and those in the real estate industry is that you've got relationships out there, and you're going to cross somebody who's just reached a point where they owe more than their home is worth. Now, maybe they can't make the payment. Maybe soon they're not going to be able to make the payment, or frankly, they can make the payment, but they're facing a decision point. And, depending on who crosses them, it's always a solution. That is, no one's there to give them the information to make a good decision. And kind of our role and what the law firm does is to kind of set the seller down and say, look, here are all of your legal options. keep the home, modify the home, short sell the home, walk away, strategic default. But here are your legal and tax effects from those decisions so that they can actually come to a decision that's an informed one. We're not here to tell them what's right or wrong because, frankly, that's their own makeup. What's right or wrong for every person's unique. They're all snowflakes. So our role is to kind of sit down and do that consultation. We charge anywhere from $200 to $300 an hour for that consultation.
Why don't you stop right there? What was the phone number again, just in case?
480-745-1033.
Okay, so we're going to be giving away 3. I'm just making up a number here. Is that good?
Sure.
2? Okay, 3 free consultations. You have to live in Arizona.
More than your home is worth.
Yep, you have to be upside down as a term. So you
Underwater.
You're underwater, absolutely. And maybe you want to know what your options are. Maybe you've already seen somebody else and you don't want to continue there and you want to see another firm. So tell us a little bit about how long the consultations take. What do they do? What do they need to bring in? I know you're automated, so a lot of that's online before they get there. And then what should they expect?
Well, if they're going to come into our office, we're going to have them go online to a secure intake, and we want to get as much information as we can. What's your income? What are your debt liabilities? What do you owe on the home? What are your payments, your interest rates? We want to get the complete picture because, frankly, the issue is not just about the home. Certain decisions you make may be dependent on hardship or no hardship. Certain decisions may be based on recourse debt, non-recourse debt. There may be tax liability. So we want them to go online, spend that 15 minutes, fill it out. Then we're going to get them on the calendar, and they're going to spend an hour of answers. It's one of the big differentiations with our firm from other firms is they'll get in front of an attorney, and the first 20 minutes of that 1 hour that they're stroking a check for anywhere from $200 to $300 is what's your name, what's your address, and all this other information. That should have already been done. So with us, they come in loaded and bring whatever they want us to look at. But the bottom line is we've got access to a lot of information live, so we can sit there and look up a lot of things, when their mortgage was recorded, what do they owe, etc. And we're going to look at that and say, all right, what is your situation? If you make that decision to modify, these are what loan mods are. This is the result of a loan mod. Is this what you want? Understanding that break even on a home's not necessarily break even. It takes money to sell a property. So just because you finish a line, say, hey, I now owe on my home what it's worth. Great. Can you sell it? Well, no. Going to need a couple more years of appreciation now. So want to get them that timeline. Get them to really look at their financial concerns. So when they leave after the hour, they're going to know what their options are, what the tax and legal effect are for those options so they can make a decision. I'll tell you the reality. If someone's going to exit a home, whether it's an investment property, whether it's a second home or a primary residence, many of them will find a short sale, a successful short sale, is probably one of the best exits on a property. But it's different from everybody and how they exit, when they exit. Should they buy a home first or not before they do it? What's the effect on credit? There's just a waterfall of issues we need to satisfy.
Right. So they may actually come in thinking they're going to do a short sale, and that may not be the best option.
Well, I'll give you an example. A client that we spoke to today has a property. He bought it free and clear and then paid cash for it. All of a sudden now decides, well, I need that money back out. The house increased in value. He no longer lived in it. It was an investment property. Cashed it out. Pulled $200,000 out of the property. Well, we understand with some recent changes of the law, that loan is now potentially a full recourse loan. Okay? If, in fact, that lender were to judicially foreclose on them, that lender could pursue that difference. He's like, well, I'm afraid. Now, the sad part is this property right now in the current market's worth $90,000. So in this market, even after all the appreciation we've seen, he's gone from $50,000 to $90,000, but he owes $200,000.
Oh my gosh!
And he goes, well, I want to do a short sale. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now, from a tax consideration side, this will blow most people's minds, but frankly, IRS would look at that as not necessarily a non-recourse loan, and it's not his primary residence. So frankly, we're going to have some 1099 liability if he short sales.
Phantom income?
Well, not phantom, direct income. That's going to be 1099 income.
Direct income. So
Yeah.
the direct income is the difference between the...
What you owe and what the lender gets. Now, here's an even bigger problem. He bought the property for $160, paid cash, borrowed $200, depreciated it over 5 years. His adjusted basis now is about $120, $130. Mm-hmm. This is a shock to most people. They're the elephant in the room that everybody quit talking about was called capital gain tax. Mm-hmm. And guess what the IRS says? I don't care what you short sell the property for. We're going to use how much you owe as the sales price, and we're going to take the lower adjusted basis, do some math on it, and all of a sudden for him, there's a $75,000 difference for him. He's got to pay capital gains tax also. So that's a client all of a sudden now that went from, I think I want a short sale. I'll tell you the bottom line nut of it. It looks like he will probably engage in a strategic default. Hope the lender elects the remedy of trustee's sale, making the loan non-recourse, avoid the regular 1099 income, because there is no tax liability for non-recourse debt.
Let's talk about judicial foreclosures in just a couple seconds here. It's 5:30 already. So I think we'll take a little break for our sponsors, and we do appreciate our sponsors, so hopefully you'll stay tuned and listen. And again, this is In the Know with Tom Diller, KQCK Live, and here are the sponsors. Coming up any second now.
Are you having plumbing or septic problems? No worries. Call Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Been in the Valley since 1996. Family owned and operated. Proudly serving East Valley and surrounding areas. With a full range of services from drain cleaning, septic tank pumping, general maintenance and repairs, inspections for the sale of your home. They provide excellent and courteous service for all your plumbing and septic needs. We're not satisfied till you are satisfied. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call today. Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Contact Denise at 480-987-8051. That's 480-987-8051. Are you ready to start taking control of your future and maximize your earning potential? Central Arizona College has smaller class sizes and personalized attention to help you compete in today's tough job market. CAC now serves Santan Valley and Queen Creek. The CAC Santan Center is located in the shops at Copper Basin on Hunt Highway, behind Barrow's Pizza. Stop in and see how taking classes at CAC costs a fraction of a state university, and your credits can transfer. So, if you want to earn real money, you need to learn real skills at Central Arizona College. Enroll in classes today by calling 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu or call 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu. Central Arizona College, your way. Our family pets are such a big part of our lives. That's why Kelly's Critter Clips of Queen Creek and Sun Lakes has been providing pet grooming services for over 10 years. Your dog's comfort is very important to us, so we take the time to treat your pet with care, love, and professional attention it deserves. We welcome any size and breed and feature shampoo and conditioning, styling, flea and tick dips, ear cleaning, nail trimming, and so many other services that will leave your pet looking good and smelling good and feeling great, all at an affordable price. Located in Queen Creek and Sun Lakes, call now for an appointment. 480-655-5066. Kelly's Critter Clips.
Welcome back to In the Know with Tom Diller at KQCK Live out in beautiful Santan Valley. We have Gloria Hamley and Kevin Harden here tonight with us. And Kevin, right before the break, we're talking about judicial foreclosure versus non-judicial. It's hard to say, but most people probably don't know what that is. And non-judicial is the standard or typical foreclosure that happens. You get
for single-family residential property, everybody knows about it. The
Sure.
notice of trustee sale. We talk about going downtown to the auction on the courthouse.
That's what
steps.
that is.
Correct.
Talk about the other one. You said if that happens. So what's the probability and what is it?
A lender has an option in that particular situation where there is this cash-out portion on the first where they could judicially. In other words, someone comes along, knocks on your door of your house and said, you've been served. And you find you're now being sued for foreclosure. This is what happens in states like Florida, New York, etc. These states where they have to judicially sue you. And it could take 1, 2, 3 years to finally foreclose on the property. And they have that opportunity to do that. Frankly, it's just hyper rare that a lender is going to do that on residential property. It's just
in Arizona or
in Arizona, because it's all because we're only practicing here in Arizona on this topic, and so we have to help. We have to let the client understand it's the lender's option. But it's no big deal. Like for this client, says fine. Well, I quit paying 3 months ago. He had already quit paying, and I said, great. Well, so here's your test. In the next 1 to 2 months, since they've already given him his notice of default and breach, they've warned him in 30 days or else if you don't catch this loan up. And I said, if you get a notice of sale, put a smile on your face, and then we'll help you remedy out the other tax issues as we move forward. But he'll have many fewer of them. I said, if they come knocking on your door and want to sue for judicial foreclosure, trust me, he's liquid enough. He'll just redeem the mortgage. You always have the right to catch that mortgage up. Then at that point, make different decisions. It may be a settlement with that lender, maybe a conversation. So it doesn't have to be the end of the world. And I think people are paralyzed because they're all hearing the market. Oh, you pull cash out of your property. You can't do anything because now they can sue you. Well, don't get me wrong, but 10 sheets of paper and $375, we can all sue each other all day long doesn't mean we're right. And it doesn't mean it's economical. So I think we need to spend less time with that of fear and get more knowledge.
So even though it's rare, when would be the time that a bank may do that?
Well, let's take that particular case. Well, Helvetica Servicing sued. I'll get the last name wrong. Pasquan was the homeowner, and they owed $3 million on the property. And Helvetica was servicing a loan that would be more looked almost like a commercial loan. It was a construction to perm loan. So they were already looking at it from a commercial mindset. You get a B of A, Chase City, or Wells, pretty darn rare. Matter of fact, we had to search forever to find a judicial foreclosure from them, and it was typically on some extended equity lines of credit on some of these larger end homes because it costs a substantial amount of money to sue somebody in court because the only way they're going to get money is it actually gets in front of judge or jury and a judgment is rendered. That's expensive.
Yeah.
You could spend $100,000. If the cash out portion of the loan was only $100,000,
Why do it?
that attorney's going to get.
So you're talking very high end, somebody with $1 million HELOC or something, or
Yeah, you're talking really, really high numbers, and frankly,
Right.
just pretty rare.
right. We have some more callers. Let me throw out that number one more time because we're giving away 3 free consultations. The phone number is 480-745-1033, and Joe just I think we have 3 lines going at one time. Okay. So we're going to, this person doesn't want to come on air, so why don't we keep going here? Actually, he's off the line now, so couple callers.
Interestingly enough, we had 2 people already call in for your consultations there, but one was from Albuquerque. That would be Teddy, and I told her you have to be in Arizona, correct, right?
Correct. Yep.
And the other one was Anna R. from New York City, New York.
Yep.
Sorry.
Not in Arizona.
But come on out to Arizona.
Come on out. We'll buy a property. But
Come out here, buy a property, default, and I'll help you.
That sucks.
So I got to tell you, thank you for listening from New York and
Absolutely.
New Mexico.
Yeah, that's cool.
Absolutely.
And just to clarify, if you have property here, please call back because at that point it's something you can work with.
Absolutely.
Is that correct? Yeah. So if your
I
property,
made sure.
Okay, so they do not have
Right.
vacation homes or whatever.
Correct.
Okay, but yeah, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate the phone calls.
But Teddy, she said, I just want you to know this is a really good show.
Thank you, Teddy.
Aw.
Appreciate that. Absolutely do appreciate that. So back to the non-judicial, the judicial. So that's typically not going to happen unless you're very high end. Now, when somebody gets a notice of default for a foreclosure that the house is going to be auctioned or whatever, at that point, are you seeing people come in still at the very last second, or
Sure.
people coming in still just no rhyme or reason, wait till the very last second?
God bless them. People really trusted their lender, and many times when we have a client come in and said, look, I've got 10 days till my trustee sale, they trusted their lender, got into trouble, got him on the phone. First thing words out of the lender's mouth was, well, you're current, and you're going to have to be late for us to help you. What did they do? Stop making their payments.
Right.
And then they started this loan mod process, or maybe they started their own self-directed short sales. Pretty rare. More often than not, I wanted to keep my home. I want to save my home. They didn't realize they already lost the home. Now it's a question of what are we going to do with the debt? And what I mean by that ultimately is that I understand the emotional investment from a homeowner. I can't reconcile that, but I can take you from that debt obligation to make you realize if you're just going to rent this home from yourself, there's better options because you're a tax-deductible renter.
Right.
So in that case, they're going to sit there and go, what do I do now? And you know what the lender did? They took it all the way to the wall. And within a few weeks before foreclosure or a few days, your short sale was denied, your loan mod was denied, and now they're like, well, now what do I do? They've waited so deep in the process. And so that's where we really have to whip out some bigger sticks. We might have to use bankruptcy as a tool to delay the foreclosure. We may have to use litigation to delay that foreclosure. Frankly, there's a number of other tools in our toolbox to try to stop a trustee sale. But yeah, it's not cheap when you wait that long.
Right. So they lost their home, or they've gone through the strategic default or whatever. Now you have more buyers. So I mean, that's a harsh reality. But now, you talked about the buyers when I asked you how you get the buyers. What are some of the things the buyers need to look for in a realtor? I know you're here because you're great. You're one of the better ones. But what should they ask? What kind of questions should somebody ask you? Somebody, maybe they're a first-time buyer, or maybe they just lost a home and they really haven't bought a house in years. They forgot what it's like. So what do you tell them they need to ask?
Absolutely. I think that buyers should actually seek out several realtors that they can call and actually interview them. Some of the best people to find out about qualified real estate agents are your friends and family. Or, of course, you can call me. But typically, the questions I would ask or that I have been asked, how long have I been in the business? Where is your area of expertise? East Valley, West Valley, that sort of thing. Oh gosh, what else? My hours. Sometimes they'll ask, can you show?
Do you work weekends?
Oh, yes.
Do you work nights?
Oh,
don't most
yes.
realtors do that though,
Oh,
or there's some that
yes.
don't? You have to, right? That's the thing.
I can only speak for myself, but if I want to show houses,
Right.
then
You
that's
need
what I
to.
do.
Yeah.
The only time I don't is in the wintertime, and I don't show houses in the dark. Not only is it dangerous, but you can't see what you're
Sure.
what you're trying to accomplish. So, but those were some of the things, and I think that once the buyer gets a realtor or two on the phone, and the realtor starts having some dialogue with them, they'll get a feel for it. I had on my notes here that it's important that, for instance, there is a difference between an engineer mentality and, say, a nurse. And you're going to deal with a nurse a little bit differently than you're going to deal with an engineer, from my standpoint as a realtor. So, the engineer might not like, somebody that's like not necessarily sitting down and crossing every, you know what I'm trying to say? I don't know how it's going to come out. But
Kevin, you know what she's trying to say?
the engineer is going to
He's
pick
smiling.
everything to death, how
Right,
they do that.
right.
And the nurse is going to be more of an emotional kind of
Right.
deal.
Right.
So I can work with both, and that's cool. I just need to get a handle on
Right.
what kind of personality they are.
Right.
And because, believe it or not, when you're out looking at homes with people, it does matter how you interact with them, and can you grow to have a friendly relationship. I mean, it's a very emotional and high energy kind of transaction, and it's one of the biggest that they'll ever make in their life. So, you got to be in tune with the buyer.
Right.
And let's see, what else would I ask?
But I think I heard a little bell.
You did. You heard the bell. We have a question here. Stevie, what do you typically do to delay a foreclosure when they already have filed within the past 7 years? What is another option of delaying the foreclosure?
Wait, that's from Stevie or to Stevie?
That's from Stevie.
Okay, from Stevie to Kevin?
Didn't say.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to assume
I
it's,
can't
Yeah.
answer that.
Kevin, jump on in there.
The idea is that you can't file bankruptcy again or let's be very clear, have a discharge granted within 8 years of your original discharge date. But that depends on what type of bankruptcy you're filing. If someone filed a Chapter 7, say 7 years ago, and they can't file it again and they want to delay the trustee sale, well, there's always Chapter 13. Obviously, we're beyond that period, so you could actually go into a 13 and do it again, even though you're going to dismiss it out. But it's a great tool to delay it.
Now, are they delaying just because a realtor calls and says, hey, I'm putting the house on the market, I'm getting a BPO, delay this? Does that work at this point?
We have clients who basically come in and say, look, my goal is to remain in this home until they pry it from my cold, dead fingers. God bless them, but living for free is not freedom, but they want to hold on. There's some magical answer waiting out there. I don't want to lose my home. We respect that, and we do a number of strategies to buy time. I have one client from 2008. He stopped paying in May of 2008. First notice of sale was filed in August of '08. He is still in that home today.
Since '08?
Since
Unbelievable.
'08. He's been through 4 trustee sales that have been blown up and canceled. They've not refiled since.
I got to ask, how much has this been costing him to do this in legal work? I mean, I know you can't say. I mean, a lot? Yes, a lot?
Well, I would say
Cost
that
benefit?
it's probably a tenth of what his mortgage might have been.
Okay, so it's worth it. It's
Again, it's back to my saying, living for free is not freedom.
Sure.
He's trapped by the home, and it's a home that's struggling.
Right.
Got a couple more back from the '09 realm, maybe a few more coming out of 2010.
Right. I'm going to throw
and
out
that number goes up as we go.
We have 15 more minutes here. I'm going to throw out the phone number one more time, and I'm going to extend that 3 free consultations to realtors. If there's a realtor out there that wants to call in
good
with
idea.
their and give it to one of their clients, are you okay with that?
Absolutely. Keep in mind that's where our bread's butter.
Right, exactly. Realtors come to you. So if you're a homeowner yourself and you want to find out about your options, we're going to give away 3 consultations. If you're a realtor and you have customers that you think this would be good for, then a realtor can call in and get one to give to somebody else. So the phone number again is 480-745-1033. I'm not sure why I got to keep looking up at the screens. I've said that number a billion times, but I can never remember it. But there it is, 745-1033. So 3 consultations for the next 12 more minutes. We're going to be able to give those out. So
here's a buyer.
Call now.
Yeah, here's a buyer question for you, Gloria. One of the things that we were kind of shocked about, everybody keeps squawking about, it's going to be a minimum of 3 years from a short sale and 3 to 5 from a foreclosure and bankruptcy. And we have been blown away by clients from the 2009-2010 timeframe that are bankruptcy and foreclosure clients of our firm telling, hey, thanks for all your help. I just closed on my new home.
Yeah.
Far earlier than 3 years from those events. So it seems to me that, I understand this press that's out there, gloom and doom for buyers, but it seems like it's a little more positive for opportunity for buyers than we might have thought.
I think that's true. And quite honestly, sometimes people can get into a home more quickly, but I think they're being asked to put a little bit more money into the transaction. 15-20% down. I would say probably closer to 20%. FHA, I believe that they can go 2 to 3 years, and after that they can qualify. Is that correct? Is that
so? Bottom line is, if somebody has had this event and they came out of that 2007, 8, 9 time frame, and when the market was really blowing up, frankly, they need to not self-judge themselves. They need to call someone like you to say, look, I at least want to find out where I am today. How much longer do I have? Because I think everybody wants a piece of that American dream to be a homeowner.
Absolutely. And that was the other point I was going to make to Tom, was the buyers, when they call and interview agents, they should ask them point blank if they have a team of people that they work with. I have my lenders and my title people and termite companies and home inspectors, and I mean the list goes on. And it's a very important thing. I trust my lenders very much since I did it myself for 15 years. I don't put up with a lot. That my lenders can either do it or they don't, and then I'll move on. So I've been out of it too long now, so I just go ahead and say, here's the name of my lender. Give them a call.
And you're absolutely right. You do have to have a good team, like Kevin and his folks over there have
Absolutely.
a good team of people. We've thrown out the radio station number many times here. Let's make sure we throw out your contact information. And before we do that, Joe got another call.
Yeah, really quick here. We had 2. And again, Farrah Trout, we thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. Realtor from Minneapolis. So that's not going to work again for Kevin. We do have a question really quick, though. Somebody out there wants to know a little bit more about the buy and bail.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about buy and bail, which really is strategic default. There's several different words for it, and buy and bail really is when you can afford your home that you're currently in and you're not late. And once you jump in from there,
and they want to know about the ramifications specifically.
Sure.
Well, the first thing we got to get rid of is the urban myth that it's fraud.
Yeah.
Okay. A good buy and bail is not fraud. So rule number 1, say what you're going to do what you say. So when you get ready and you're considering your option, I'm going to leave this underwater home. I'm first, though, because I have income, I have credit, and I have assets. I would like to not be a renter for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So I want to buy a home first. And everybody goes, oh, you can't do that. Well, of course you can. Now, the deal is you need to go to a lender. So they're going to call an agent like you, Gloria, and say, look, I want to get pre-approved. You get pre-approved by a lender, and the lender says, okay, what are you going to do with the other home? Well, I don't know. That is the answer you need to give. I don't know. Okay, but my income is such I can qualify for both mortgages, so it shouldn't matter. And they go, well, we're going to need a little more than that. Great. I will tell you what we do with all of our clients. We have the clients tell the lender, well, I may rent it out or I may sell it in the near future. I still don't know. And we pretty much, without fail, stop there. So at that point, that new 1003 for that new mortgage represents an accurate picture. Here's another big kicker. You can't go late on the old mortgage. Okay, the idea is that your credit aspect should remain the same all the way through the first payment on the new mortgage. Otherwise, what? When that lender has originated that loan and we got down the road and the first payment's due, and what are they doing? They're selling the loan, you know.
Right.
90% of these loans are done with a lender other than directly with B of A, Chase, City, or Wells. It was done with somebody else who then transferred it or sold it to them, and they're going to run a QC report and go, well, wait a minute. Your first payment's due. You're already late. So obviously you didn't intend to may do this or that. It's all about accuracy. But the bottom line is this. There's nothing that you do is going to change what happens with the old mortgage.
So on buy and bail, the second part of that is you've purchased that other house, and then after the 30 days, if you decide that's what you want to go, that you don't want to rent it or use it as a vacation home for your family relatives from Nantucket, you could stop making payments on that property. So that's true. Maybe
they stop.
I'm not
paying.
saying whether that's right or wrong.
We
but,
close short
But at
sales.
that point, that's what.
Well, let's be clear. The problem is the exit, not the lack of payments. We close short sales every month for homeowners that never went late.
Sure.
The myth that you have to go late to get a short
so
sale.
what you're saying is they were able to afford both payments, so why not list it and try to sell it and keep the payments current until the very bitter end?
Correct.
I understand. Let's get back to you, Gloria. Contact information. What we had. Wait, let me contact first because we had another caller.
For sure.
Contact.
Okay, 480-216-9229.
And the name of your company again?
Homelight Realty and Management.
Gotcha. Kevin Harden from Arbaletum, Breckner.
Our phone number, 888-909-1030, 888-909-1030, and the law firm of Arbaletum Breckner.
Caller
was Vic from Tempe. He says, I'm in the middle of a deal with Guaranteed, not with Tom. I've had an A-plus experience so far. Am I going to need a consultation, or is everything going to be okay?
No, everything's absolutely fine. The files were transferred. Nothing's going to change. You may not even notice a change. And I got to take a step back. We were purchased. The employees from GTA are all temporary until they interview them and decide to keep them or not. In the company, because we were around for 33 years, we have a lot of great people, a tremendous amount of people. So I'm sure they're going to be taken care of.
Well, it's great to hear that they've had an A-plus experience up to this point and didn't even know about anything.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be.
Right,
that's the way
absolutely.
It should be, that it should be seamless. You might get an email from somebody else that you've never heard of before, and they may just say, hey, I'm calling you on your file to give you an update. Cool, give me the update. So that's the way. That's what I like to hear, so I'm glad. Thank you for calling in and saying that. I've yet to hear of any bad experiences yet. And everything was transferred Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever, and Monday it was opened in Fatco. So it's been wonderful, and they're great people. So, I mean, this is the second largest in the world. So there you go. So, again, we're happy. So, we have about 7 more minutes here, so I'm going to give you guys the last couple minutes to chat.
And we may just have to bank these things. And
we should.
Yeah,
but again, 3 free consultations. You have a couple more minutes here, and right at 6 o'clock, we're going to stop, and we may do it again in the next few weeks or what have you.
When you open nationwide, you're going to have to give away 12.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't, nationwide law firm. I have to talk to the partners about that one.
Yeah. Now, buy and bail, at that point, we talked about the second half is the bail piece. And again, you could continue to make your payments and call a realtor like Gloria to sell the property. At that point, you're in the new home. There's no liability. Nobody's going to be knocking on your door a year later. It's just you sold the house.
Correct. It really needs to be handled very simply, very directly, keeping that same rule in place. Say what you're going to do. Do what you say. Don't play
Right.
games.
Right.
Don't none of these Chicago leases. My apologies to the folks from Chicago out here in Arizona.
Hey.
We have a lot of these winter visitors, and the whole idea was, here's a lease. Don't trust me. Wink, wink.
Right.
There's a tenant, and there really isn't. And they never.
You
rent
don't
it.
want it. You never want. You always want to be above board because somebody's going to find out. But the person who called in, even though you're current and you asked that question, if you're thinking about doing that, again, free consultation. Call back if you want and get that free consultation. You may need it because you want to add because they have tax folks over there. They have other folks over there that can help you. So,
And I've been asking.
yeah,
They're just
absolutely.
not calling for the consultation. So
Last couple points there.
I have a question of Kevin first, though, please.
Go right ahead. That's why he's here.
Are you finding that there are a handful of banks that are just totally impossible to work with?
Yes, and with that, shy of not getting into a game
I'm not
of
shy about it,
defamation, but if you're out here in the Southwest Desert and you're related to the educational system and happen to be a credit union, you're not a good player in short sales.
is M&I one of them?
They're gone.
you know,
Guy's gone.
Somebody
went to
BMO
Harris.
Harris.
I just got a notice that somebody bought my mortgage.
Yeah, BMO Harris bought M&I Bank, and who knows? Let's see what happens.
They're Canadian, right?
Correct.
BMO Harris, yeah.
And we'll see what the future brings. I will tell you that M&I Bank is a heavily litigating or heavy litigious bank because most of the loans that cross our path are typically construction loans and or lot
That
loans.
was their big thing, construction to perm.
Yeah.
So a lot
Yeah.
of those got stopped right in the middle where people said, I don't have enough money to finish this. I'm not going to finish this property. We're out of here.
And most of those homeowners find themselves in full recourse debt.
Right, because there's no place to live. So, right,
Wow.
but you have to be living in the property.
Not necessarily. There was a case last year that went all the way to the Arizona Supreme Court that kind of peeled M&I's onion a little bit, and they're going to be left holding the bag on a lot of loans that they cannot pursue for deficiency. That's for another show. But they're good guys. Don't get me wrong. They never played unfair. But the credit unions are really, really difficult, especially when they're in subordinate position in seconds. They're really, really tough to
Lot
work
to
with.
lose, yeah.
And frankly, you know what? No one's entitled to a short sale. No one's entitled that the lender do anything for them. So
Except
to their
for
credit,
foreclose, yeah.
to their credit, foreclose.
Yeah, exactly.
But homeowners need to be mature enough to know that if you're going to jump out of a plane that's run out of gas, this house, you wear a parachute, an emergency chute, and hopefully have a net.
So you're the parachute? Is that the analogy?
Yeah, the analogy is pack the parachute. Let us pack it for you.
Right.
The parachute might have been the short sale. It might have been a loan mod. Frankly, it might even be a strategic default. They may fall easily in a mat, no recourse. All they've got at worst is a foreclosure on their credit.
Right.
And like I told you, clients with foreclosures from 2009 have already bought homes. So it's not the end of the world.
It is not the end of the world. Why would somebody use you as a realtor?
Why would some? Oh my
I know.
gosh!
It's a hard question. I'm like throwing it at you. Why would somebody use you as
that
a
means
realtor?
I have to really talk about.
Now, I
myself.
know you're really cool, but let's tell the folks out there. Give them a couple reasons why they should be calling you tonight as you're driving home from Santan Valley.
Well, let's see. I think I've probably closed about 250 buyer sides in my career. And I believe that only two of them have gone south. And one of them was the seller backed out at the very last minute.
You're kind of cool.
And that's not too bad.
No, it's awesome.
I
It's
have,
Very,
awesome.
very cool.
No,
I
she's
have
cool.
a knack of keeping a deal together. And now, that's not to say sometimes people don't bail on me and decide to
Right,
back out on their own.
right.
But if they're committed to getting a house, they are going to get a house. Absolutely.
Awesome. One more caller here.
Interestingly enough, I was talking to someone on the chat here, and they mentioned Desert Schools, and I said, I tried to do a deal with Desert Schools, and it went south. It didn't work.
That's
And I had Richard from Desert Schools call in. He said, go to the Alma School branch because we do business there right. And he's calling from Phoenix, and he said, not all credit unions are the same. So I'm sorry,
they're
Desert
not.
Schools.
Yeah,
if,
they're not. I think Kevin was
we're not trying to...
broad brush on that.
Right,
I think he was
right.
just making a point.
I
that
think he was very
in general,
PC with that.
Yeah, no, I think
Great.
so. Yeah, and there are banks out there and there are servicers out there that are very difficult to work with only because of their caseload and or they're not in Arizona. They're back east.
But again, let's be clear, and this is what the homeowner needs to understand. You don't deserve a short sale. There's no law that
Sure,
requires
sure,
the lender to do a
sure.
short sale. So when we say
you're breaking a contract.
Desert Schools has a contract, doesn't want to break it, doesn't make them
No,
bad
it
people.
doesn't.
But the question was, is there anybody difficult? they're a tough cookie. They
Yeah.
are a very tough cookie, but
and internally, that could be a good thing. So there's both two ways of looking at it,
Yeah,
right?
God bless.
Yeah, absolutely. We have one more minute here, and I want to just thank all our listeners and everybody who called in. We're going to have to save those 3 free consultations for another time. And you know,
that's a good thing sometimes.
It's our bad that we didn't really advertise that. I think we need to prior to the show so people know. But we'll do that next time. And I want to thank both of you for driving all the way out here to Santan Valley
to the studio.
I was going to say, yeah, you hate it when I call it the compound, but it's beautiful out here, actually. He's got alpaca, deer, and a bunch
An
of
ostrich
critters.
stared me in the face the other day.
Ostrich.
You know, we've got about
Almost bit my nose off.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's happened.
But you signed the waiver as you walked in the door, right?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did.
yeah.
He made me
Gotta
sign
sign the
that.
waiver.
Out in blood.
That's right.
We've got about a dozen Patagonian Mara babies out there, too. So.
Really?
Yes.
We're going to have to take a picture of those.
well,
So-
his yard saved me a trip to Chick-fil-A, so I had a rooster on the way in.
That's right. We have scrambled eggs, too.
And thank you to all of you out there saying great show, really like the show, great show. Thank you so much. And to Stevie out there that asked that question out there, thank you. And for all the callers, we appreciate it. And the show, as Tom has taken over, In the Know with Tom Diller, going to be one of the greatest shows on this station, I know, as I can tell.
Thank you, Joe. And again, this is Tom Diller. You've been listening to In the Know. Hopefully you've been watching also. KQCK Live in beautiful Santan Valley. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Good night, everybody, and thank you.
Thanks,
for
everybody.
joining us today on In the Know with Tom Diller. We will always continue to strive to bring you the best in guests and to keep you informed on every facet of Arizona's volatile real estate market. Remember to tune in each and every week at 5 p.m. Arizona time exclusively on KQCK radio station. When it comes to real estate and more, be in the know.